Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember that you guys should become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel. Subscribe, follow us on social media. So this is weird, okay? Like this is weird things
that happened,
going on.
that
like
shit posting, but
yeah.
then okay.
Shit posting got serious. Like I guess okay. So people basically what happened is that people were sort of posting Nora over the trans flag because her colors are trans flag related-esque, if that makes sense.
Or, God, your sensitivity for the scroll is so high. Yeah, there's this photo here where people had taken and
and
superimposed her over because her new clothing is
here's the thing, like,
pretty trans flaggy, all things considered.
Okay, so people put the RWBY characters on different flags all the time. Like, you have whole profile picture sets where, like, Blake's over the bisexual one and the lesbian one and the ace one. Like, it's just sort of a thing that people put
that
over.
Queer people are more serious when they say stuff like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch mascot's gay. Or like Chester Cheetah's a lesbian.
Usually people will post stuff like, oh, lesbian icons for you and your friends, and they're all RWBY characters, and they all have the lesbian flag. So it's just sort of a thing for people that want, like, a profile picture, but also a gay profile picture. But the Nora thing's different because they were saying that her clothes look like a flag, which is two different things. I just wanted to get that separation. That there's, like, there are these accounts that'll go, you know, like, it'll be sort of a bot, and it'll superimpose, like, RWBY from RWBY is a lesbian, and they'll sort of do those, and those are those sort of bots, but these were like people just sort of memeing about it.
And there's other people who like shitpost and say that like different characters are all gay.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And so it's sort of like, so this is what happened.
Which is typically not taken serious. Like, this person tweeted, nice or interesting color scheme for Nora there. Nora, canon, trans.
And so the concept artist for RWBY is liking a bunch of these tweets. And so this has happened a couple, like, so this person put a bunch of different tweets and, like, they liked all the tweets. So we wanted to just show you guys sort of the tweets. We can scroll through kind of.
And, like, if you just look up on Twitter, like, trans Nora, like I did before this.
It's happened. Like,
a bunch of people are like, this has become a thing where people say that.
Getting off the tweet. So, in terms of this theory, I don't know, like, it's just so random that it's come out of a meme, but now it's like, oh, okay, this actually may be serious. The thing about people liking tweets is that
it doesn't lights don't always mean
at the same time, thinking about the tweets that I've gotten liked by RWBY people, like by like the writers or people that make art or something, it's usually been when I'm on the right track of something. Does that make sense? Like when people have liked my tweets and like, so Ren's voice actor, for example, keeps teasing Nora and Ren stuff, like, or just keeps teasing, oh, you guys are gonna see that big thing that was supposed to happen at the end of volume 6, right? And somebody said, Nora and Ren kissing, like, question mark, and not indirectly to him, but the voice actor sought that out on purpose and replied to it, remember, like, you know, remember that thing that I told you about, eyes emoji, just all this stuff. And so they do tease. And a like can sometimes mean confirmation, but is it?
Or at least like acknowledgement. Approval, maybe.
You know, and so here's the thing about this theory, though, is that, I don't know, like, looking at Nora before, she's pretty, like, gender ambiguous. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell she's a young girl, I guess, because she's dressed in pink, but at the same time, like, based on her hair when she's with young Ren, like, really, she looks pretty, like, androgynous. That's what I meant. Not gender ambiguous. What does that mean? No, androgynous, right? But it's like, okay, Nora and Ren are poor and have no money. Probably. Like, I don't know how they've survived since they were children up to the point where they got to Beacon, but it's like, how, if Nora was, like, not transitioned as a child and some time transitioned, like, before Beacon, how? Like, that's my only question, is how?
I don't know.
Do you guys have universal health care?
Yeah,
it's covered in Remsen? Like, you know what I mean?
Do they have universal health care?
Do you guys have universal health care?
Was she able to get, like, an orchidec? Well, because you don't see her. Like, she travels in the wilderness, so presumably she doesn't have, like, estrogen, which means she probably got, like, an orchidectomy. It's when you get your testicles removed.
I know that, Hunter. I was just trying to, like...
So, like, I guess that would... So, technically, she could have when she was younger. But I'm just saying,
like, because they're orphans, and they're poor, and we don't really know how they've survived all this time together, but hopefully we'll see that maybe in the
But then again, there's also, like, magic shit, so,
I know, but I'm like, so... I don't know, it's just money and you're an orphan and you're out somewhere. Like, I'm sure that Nora and Ren along the way, like, started doing, like, work for a town or something. Like, hey, you know, not mowing people's lawns and stuff for money, but something equivalent in Remnant where they would go around to towns as children and sort of be like, hey, we can do this for you. We can go collect your corn and, like, sort of all this stuff, like, harvesting things. Like, they probably did that in order to survive at some point and were taken in by people as they sort of hopped around, got to Vale, tried to get into Beacon, stuff like that. Like, that's how I sort of imagine it. So I'm just like, the only problem I see with this theory is, when would this have happened? Because we're gonna find, so here's the other thing. I made a video, and so this is my fault, about that we're gonna get Nora's backstory, which was true-ish. Like, the voice actor sort of was like, oh, like, you know, I hope that we get Nora's back. Like, it was sort of a tease more than a legit, like, confirmation that we're gonna get it, but, like, still sort of the same vein. So people are like, guys, what if her backstory is that she's trans? And I'm just
that is like a part of her backstory.
And so I'm just sort of like, maybe, I don't know. It's just like, here's the thing. If people have the headcanon, go for it. Like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. It's sort of like when people draw Blake with darker skin, like, it's sort of like, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, I don't give a shit. But like, in terms of it actually being canon, that's where I'm like, okay, but how do this work? How does this work? You know
because
what I mean?
we had the earlier theory that she was like a princess.
Yeah! Do you guys remember that? Like Atlas Elite? And then we also had a theory that she's actually the Doctor's lost daughter, and that's why Penny is supposed to look like Nora. Like, we had a couple different sort of alternatives. So one was that she's sort of like the equivalent of like a Schnee Dust Company daughter, but like just another big Atlas company. Because Schnee Dust Company, this may surprise you, only does dust, right? But there has to be some other people that do like military tech and, you know, phones, scrolls. Like, Nora is the scroll, like the scroll family queen, you know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, there are other rich people around, clearly, so how did they get rich? And you sort of think like that. And we also know that we are seeing the Doctor, because the Doctor is the guy that fixes Maria's eyes. So maybe it is all sort of interconnected.
But then again, she was in a combat school, so maybe some kindly old person in the combat school.
What do you mean? Who?
Well, Nora and Ren.
Yeah, but they got there eventually to Beacon. But I don't think they went to a combat school before Beacon, did they?
Well,
like
because
RWBY, like, they didn't
because Ozpin talks about most of, like, all of these other people studied at combat schools.
Yeah, but Blake and I think didn't. Ren and Nora did not.
But like, it wasn't ever confirmed that they did. I don't know. Because they also, like, made their weapons, and it's like, who helped them make it?
Yeah, we may get some more detail.
So if it's her backstory, it might be, like, also her and, or Nora and Ren, like, in their days at, like, I don't know, a minstrel combat school.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe that's when
Nora got universal health care.
Yeah. Because
is that
also
covered under Canadian healthcare?
Yes.
Partial
yes. So in Canadian healthcare, it's funny because you go to Quebec, you go to French if you want a vagina, you have to go to French Canada, which is kind of funny. But I think like estrogen and whatnot isn't. Or like hormone blockers aren't, because we don't have like universal pharmacare here.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Okay, some people are saying that Nora's chest isn't big enough for her to be a girl. Like, okay, so this is sort of like an anecdote, like from my Discord server, people have been debating whether Nora has a cleavage line. Okay, and in some pictures she does, and in some she doesn't, but I don't think that the size of Nora's boobs says anything. So that's the kind of problem with theories in general, like all theories, not just theories about whether someone is gay or trans or whatever. All theories go down a path of ridiculous, and so this is
when you start like looking at,
when you're like, does Nora have cleavage? Like, no, because
they're looking at a photo with like those Diamond Inspector ring things, and they're looking at a photo of Nora's cleavage.
Here's the thing, okay? If Nora transitioned,
I mean, she's
apparently because her boobs aren't big enough, okay?
Yeah, she's got boobs, like you can see it in the character art. She clearly has breasts.
Okay? That personally offends me, okay? Because I don't have a cleavage line unless I'm wearing a push-up bra, okay? And so for you guys to just be like, well, her boobs aren't big, so that could mean that she doesn't have it, like that she doesn't have any, or she's wearing a push-up bra, or like I don't know what the alternative would sort of be if
she has
boobs. Okay, stop it. It makes me upsetty.
So I think it's entirely feasible that Nora's trans.
Yeah, I think so too. It just seems a little not random, but it's sort of like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I don't care about Nora.
It's the type
I'm
of
just
thing
sort
that
of like,
there's
okay,
no,
like,
because
whatever.
like no one wanted Nora to be trans, and there's
Yeah.
no way that they could written a whole big thing about her being trans.
Yeah.
And the time of that tweet being liked to like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
So unlike Blake and Yang, no one's gonna be like, oh, they're just doing what the fans want. It's like, no, well, clearly this was planned.
The volume's finished. So
Yeah,
it's
clearly
like,
this was planned.
you know what I mean?
Which that's kind of nice that I don't have to deal with that nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, people will still say that.
Yeah,
it's
but
just less
fuck
true.
'em.
It's sort of one of those things where it's like, I don't know, like to me it's just so random.
But you know what's also kind of
You
funny?
know what's funny? It's because here's what people are saying. People are like, Ren and Nora were the last heterosexual people in this show, and they're still heterosexual, by the way, I guess.
But-
like, you know what I mean?
but
It would just
Nora's
be really
trans.
funny that people are like, this is the last. Like,
Bastion
this
of the
is the
straights.
last, like, the straight people in the show, and you're making, like, people are so angry, and I'm like, do you guys not have straight people somewhere else? Like, is John not still straight? You know what I mean? Like, you guys still have John, okay? Because that's
Yeah.
the thing, right? People complain about gay characters and trans characters, and it's sort of like, there's always a token gay, and so you guys get one, okay?
You
Pick
get the
one
token
straight
straight.
person, okay?
And it's
You
John.
pick John. I don't know how anyone could look at Ren and be like, yeah, Ren's totally a straight man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Ren's probably a little.
Well,
Ren
that
seems a
was
little
the funny thing about you mentioned about Ren is that I don't really like Ren's sexuality. I don't know if anything
I don't
about
speculate
him
on
is.
Ren's sexuality.
He's not
okay?
like
I'm
he's
just
not
saying,
like
Ren is not the
stereotypically
heterosexual
gay.
male.
He's
You know
not
what I mean?
stereotypically gay, so it's not like he's like hello.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? I'm saying in terms of looks.
But
if you
he's-
guys are
I
like,
guess
that
he
was
look-
the last straight couple.
Well,
this man with the long, luscious locks with the braid.
it's funny that
and
you
Nora.
mentioned that.
Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Is
Like,
that
Ren and
people-
Nora look the least
People like
straight.
really headcanon him as being a transgender man.
Yeah, and so
And
it's
like
sort of
that happens a lot. There's been a lot of fan fiction. Like he was the one that everyone thought was trans.
Yeah.
Not Nora.
But you know,
so that's
you
a kind
understand
of
what I'm saying?
a reversal.
It's so funny how people are like, guys, this was the last straight couple.
Yeah.
Like, when we're Ren and Nora,
And then-
like, they really subvert sort of gender norms.
Expectations,
Both of them.
yeah.
Like, not in just how they look, but also just how they act. Like,
Yeah.
Ren lets Nora basically take charge in their
Yeah.
relationship.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, they've always sort of subverted a stereotype. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so it's sort of like one of those things
It's
where I'm
interesting to see them
like,
subvert
they're
more.
not your, like,
Yeah.
regular straight couple anyway.
Or like
You know what I'm
you know,
saying?
typical like
Typical,
like in I
yeah.
guess a sort of like
Nuclear
patriarchal
family type. Yeah, exactly. Like,
sense
it's
of a
not.
heterosexual couple.
So I don't understand. Like, people are like, "This is our last beacon of hope." Like, no, like Jean is your last beacon of hope, sis.
You mean
Sorry,
you have
even
Ozpin and
Jean
Salem?
wore a dress, so
You know,
it's sort of like,
You have Ozpin and Salem.
yeah. But chances are, one of
You
Austin's
have-
past lives were gay, so it's sort of like.
I'm
he's
pretty sure
not even
Mercury's
worth-
straight, you know?
Yeah. Okay. You guys get Mercury. That's it.
I mean,
And so that's the thing, like when you look at like Roman and Ren and like all of these like very
Roman was
flamboyant
flamboyant. I don't know if he was
I
necessarily.
know, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, it's just like, were there ever straight people in RWBY? Like, realistically? Like,
Okay,
really, it was
I
just
don't know
Jean
about
and
that.
Pyrrha.
I don't know
I'm
about
serious.
that.
Like, it's just Jean, Pyrrha, and Mercury. That's
I
it.
think
That's
that
all
they
you
were they
get.
had like a flamboyant straight character, and I'm okay with that.
But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, though. Like I get you.
So our verdict is like, I don't know. I mean,
I think I want Nora to be
I
trans
don't
at
care
this
that
point.
much. I just think
I think it'd be funny.
it's always funny to see people get so angry about things, and I'm just like, can you guys relax?
I
Like,
think it would be
it's-
funny,
she's
and it
not
wouldn't be
real.
a big
like,
deal.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just, you know, fucking relax. Like, because I've seen a lot of, like, I want characters to be more than their sexuality. I'm like, well, yeah, that's why they didn't make Nora, like, trans from the beginning. Like, that wasn't the only aspect of her character. They have already built up her character, and that is now the addition.
It would suck
that
if
make sense?
it would suck
Like,
if
she
they
didn't
made
just-
Nora trans and then she became like the trans
Yeah,
character,
and she's
where that
not.
was her only personality.
saying?
But I don't think that's gonna happen because she has a strong personality already.
I really just don't like when people say that because I'm like, in what universe? Especially with Nora, I'm like, she already has a personality. It's not like she came out of the womb as the like the token trans person,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And so that always baffles me, that argument, because I understand, and I do agree. Like, I want characters to be more than just gay, but in this case, I don't think any RWBY character is just gay.
Yeah,
all
no.
of them have had their personalities built up first, except for, like, you know,
But
if we're
then they
getting
could-
technical, Saffron and Tara, but they're minor characters.
They were minor, and
So it
they
doesn't
also,
matter.
but they also had personality outside the fact that they were gay.
and so it's
Like-
I don't
like-
know.
like
I don't know
Saffron
why
was
people
very-
are so worried
yeah,
about it. Like, y'all, can
bubbly,
y'all relax?
happy.
Can y'all calm down? Because everything's okay. I promise. I promise you, it'll be okay. All right.
Anyways,
You still have Sean.
you always have John.
You always have Sean.
You always
okay?
have John. I'm pretty sure Salem's straight.
So yeah,
So I guess you got that.
that's it.
Hmm.
So
I hope Nora's trans.
we'll
That'd be
see.
good fun.
We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Thank you for watching, and thank you to our wonderful patrons over on Patreon who support the channel. Their names will scroll through now.